Hey guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to show you how I make my kind of my 1 by 1 inch terrain pieces for D&D, or for anything else that might need this. So, I got this from the dollar store. Now, I will say, it's rare to find this, it seems, from my experience lately. They might have discontinued this, but if they haven't, I'm sure you can find it on Amazon. I find this at the dollar store, as you can see, Dollarama specifically for these ones. I got 2 of these just in case they are running out. And I will say, you can actually cut these. The little black spots are actually cuttable, so that's how I made stuff like this. That way you can, you can kind of shape these because they're just adhesive wall tiles, but obviously we aren't using them for that. So I guess we'll open this up and show you how to go. So, give me 1 sec. Let me grab my knife here. So, and only for $4, it's not crazy bad either. It obviously needs work. You can't just have metallic base. Well, actually, you can if you really want. We'll just throw that off to the side. Now you will see there is this cardboard that is delivered with it, but it's all bendy because it's, built to bend that. So what I did was, my work deals with a lot of cardboard boxes. We ship things across country, and even to countries like, well, America is pretty much the only other place we ship stuff to. But we get a ton of these little, very sturdy bits of cardboard. So this is a very thin one, but it's still pretty sturdy. This was used to transport glass. So what I do is I just line this up and I'll glue it on. Now you can, you should, at the back, this is the stuff that hides the adhesive stuff. You could hot glue this if you want. I'm just going to do this for now. We'll see how it sticks up. If it doesn't work, then I'll just add the hot glue. So you do got to be careful though, because obviously you do not want to get this stuck on anything else. So it's going to be pitch black on the back here. Let me just throw out this piece of cardboard. There we go. So now I'm going to line this up somewhere on this, and there we go. Look at that. Now it is diagonal. You can't see the bottom here, but it's diagonal. There's more space here. There's like a full finger, and over here is not a full finger. So, but that doesn't really matter. So now what we'll do is cut around this. So I'm just gonna pause the recording because you don't need to watch the whole thing. I'll start recording again once I'm done cutting it. Hey guys, just finished cutting it, but it's still kind of holding strong. So this side's not, and this side's not. It's just that one side. Actually, it is kind of. There's a bit there. There we go. As you can see, it's mostly off. So I'll finish trimming this off, then we should be good. Actually, I'm not even going to pause recording. We'll just quickly trim, just to show you. Gotta be careful. These are some kind of metallic tops, which, as you can see, I damaged one down here, but that doesn't actually matter. You'll see why soon. It seems to be, looking at the cut, it seems to be like a very thin layer of metal, maybe some tin, that they've kind of glued on top of chunks of foam. Doesn't really matter though. So what I'll do is I'll just quickly cut again, peel that off. I should have a cutting board under this, one of those self-healing cutting mats. I've got one over there, but this table is just my workbench table, so it doesn't matter if it gets damaged a little bit. But for you, if you're doing this on, like, say, a kitchen table, definitely either get a replacement table like this, where this was just from Goodwill. It was $5 for the table. I mainly bought it for the legs that came with it, because they're the IKEA legs. Are like $5 per leg, but yeah. But if you're going to do this on your kitchen table, get a cutting mat. You can find them on Amazon. I've seen a lot of stores carry them sometimes, like hobby stores. Michael's sometimes has them. I've also seen, what's the company called? Those stores that kind of sell stuff. I don't know what they're called. If I remember, I'll put them in the description. But you can find them at like those other stores. So this is what we've got here. Now it's still not perfectly stiff. It's hard to see. It is kind of bendy, but that's okay. So now this board is pretty much good if you didn't want to do anything. So just for example, here's 25 millimeter base. Roughly a model fits perfectly on it. So assuming your friends all use a 25 millimeter base for their basic characters, for like humans, elves, and dwarves, they can fit in one of these and it counts as a 5x5 square, even though it's 1 by 1 inch. In real life, it's 5 feet in game. Now you can also use bigger things. So like I'll use this Noise Marine that I painted up. And even he centrally will fit on that 5x5 spot. Sure, he overhangs a bit, but like, you know, if somebody's trying to get beside him, there you go, you can do that. And on top of that, if you get really big stuff, like, actually, I just did a video on one. Let me try and find it. Something like this. Obviously, this thing would have a wider range. This is obviously a flight thing for the Valkyrie in a video I did recently, or a while back, I guess now. But, you know, obviously it has bigger reach, so it doesn't really matter anymore. The what it counts as 5x5, you know, whatever. But if you want to, that's done. Now, what I do is, I will actually try and find. Let me pause this. So I can't find it, unfortunately. But 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. 3, 6, 10, 11. So this is 11 by 11. So a while back, I watched a guy, Professor Dungeon Master, who talks about kind of zoned terrain, and his he specifically has what's it called? It's called, like, he calls it like pro dungeon terrain or something. It's a circle though. He goes with a circle and does zones in it. Now you could do a similar thing. If I remember correctly, I did. That'd be 2, 4, and the last square. Hey cat. She's back again. Anyway. 1, 2. So let me do some quick math. Let me figure something out. Alright, I'm back. So if I remember correctly, right, I'll use this to mark it off. So you can do, I believe it was, if you want to do something similar to what he does, you can do 3, I believe. 3 and 3. 3 and 3. The cat's making measuring this very hard. Come on, kitty. Could you move, please? Good kitty. Oh, of course, she's just going to lay down on it, I think. Oh, she's going to play with a bit of cardboard. Yeah, I'm going to move her. Sorry, kitty. Good kitty. So back to it. Sorry. So, if you go 3 by 3, so let's start from here. This is kind of the center, right? 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this will be the center. So you can do 3 by 3. Like the first 3 rows are going to be the far range, right? Or even the first 2 rows, and then you do the next 2 rows are medium range. Yeah, okay, so yeah, the way he does it is the stuff on the outside was kind of like, you know, it's not in the room, but it's getting there. So you could do 2 rows for that, and then you do the next 2 rows is where archers can shoot anybody on the board. And then these middle 3 rows, so it'll be a square of like 3 by 3, something like that, where you do a, what's the word? You know what? Give me a second. I got an idea. Alrighty, for ease of figuring this out, I got some white paint in that crappy cardboard that I got in the thing. So, just to kind of map this out for you, we could go, you would go 3 in, right? And that'll follow throughout everything. Or, 2 in. Right? So that is if you are in that area that is being marked off, quickly wipe that off. If you're in that area that's being marked off, right? That is, you could either even, so what you could do actually, let me think. So you could do actually this one row if you want to save a bit of space, make it a bit bigger. So let's see. So if we want to do that, so this one row is where things are entering, but they're not in the field yet. So then we can just dab. Oh, wrong one. Ignore that one. There we go. You could even shrink it even more, because he kind of does the outer, everybody's coming in, there's the center melee, and the outside is all ranged. So if you wanted, you could go from here and make this entire thing the melee zone that he has, right? And then you could just make the spots that I've marked out in white as the ranged kind of area. And this stuff out here is the stuff that hasn't entered the battlefield yet. Theoretically, though, if you want, I can adapt it again. You can actually even shrink the melee area even more, so it's just like a, though I will say that's kind of a bit more iffy. You might want the bigger space, where without these you might want this, what is it, 2 4, this 5x5 spot as the melee area. But what I do is I don't really do that anyway. I just measure everything, because I have a tape measure. Me and my buddies, oh sorry, drop the cardboard. Me and my buddies have a bunch of these for Warhammer anyway, and we measure all of our movements anyway, so we just go by that. Or we can just ease it up by saying, you know, I move 30 feet. Well, that's like 6 slots, so you just do 6. There you go, that's 30 feet. But yeah, so that's kind of how I built this. I will quickly spray paint this. It's all gonna be, yeah, that doesn't matter anyway. Extra texture is fine. So I'm gonna go spray paint this. I'll bring it right back. Hey guys, I might have lied a little bit. So sorry, I gotta work on getting transitions into these videos instead of just kind of pausing it and then suddenly it plays again and you guys don't see any real difference other than things disappearing. So I was going to actually bring it right back, then I realized, you know, obviously it's got to dry a bit. So I thought I'd just cover this for a bit. So, what I do is, I'll give you a quick rundown on the DM screen. I don't think I've done a video on this yet. Fairly sure. I don't want to repeat myself, but I'm not going to pause my recording now. So, what I did was, I cut the strips. So you can see, let me grab one. I've got another one. Another 2 of these things right here. So this is a brand new one, and this is one I did a while back. So, you know what, actually we'll quickly pull that out. So this one I was trying to do like a desert look, because my buddies, I have a plan for them to go to the desert section in my D&D campaign. And so I made this. What I did was I used hot glue along the seams and added dirt. Don't do that. It was so mind-numbingly boring, and nothing goes flat anymore. So, because look, you can't push them or anything. It's an okay board, and I haven't finished it. At some point I'm going to touch it up. But yeah, I would not recommend this. This was more work than it was worth. And not only that, this one's really stiff though, because at the bottom I have a bunch of sheets of steel holding it together that I hot glued on. Would not recommend wasting steel on this. Yeah, I got the steel from work for free because we were throwing it out anyway. But anyway, so this is what this is. So you can shove that off to the side. Again, you can cut the things though. You know what? I'm going to grab the thing that I wanted to show you originally. 1 second. Found it. So this was my original thing that I showed you, or that I talked about. So remember how I said you could do the 5x5 or whatever? Well, this was the original one that I had. I did go with, and this is how I painted it. I did brown for the melee, light gray for the ranged area, and the dark gray for the stuff on the outside of that. And then I ended up taking it all apart because I used it for stuff like this. But yeah, you can see it's all, like, even with the cardboard little reinforcement there, We can just cut strips off that we need. So let's say I wanted a straight line of these. There you go. It's quite easy actually, so you can literally just build these however you want. Now I didn't actually need this strip, so I shouldn't have cut that. But I can find some use for it, because, you know, even if I just cut these off so they're single inch by inch things, I could probably put these on bases or something, make them like a marble flooring. But anyway, so that's kind of, I've slowly been tearing this thing apart. I cut it right in half to build that, and then the rest of the bits I've been kind of tearing at for other little projects. So we'll move that off to the side. So that's how I made this. So you can just cut it in the shape that you want in between. You cannot cut, do not cut the metal. That's obviously going to be bad for your blade. It's probably going to be, you're probably going to hurt yourself. Don't cut your metal. But yeah, so this one, what I did was I did a metal sheet to hold this one as well. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I had to make sure there was no legal stuff on the sheets of metal, because they have brand names and stuff on them that we work with. So anyway, what I did was I used a metal sheet for the bottom and glued this on. And I used metal sheet for the back because this is my DM screen, which I can always expand if I want. What I did was kind of this wooden board stuff, like wooden walls, and I did like a just kind of a giant thing with a grate at the front. I might rebuild this, actually. Maybe I'll do another video. I just hot glued it in place, as you can see. But yeah, like as a whole, this is just kind of how it looks. It's not too bad. I like it, but looking at it, I kind of do want to make a new one, maybe. And I'll keep this as my, like, because if you look at my Instagram, you can see I use this for photos. I may keep this as a photo background, but I don't know. I do have to heighten it too if I do. Either way though, I just thought I'd give you a quick look through how I built this. You can also see it's starting to come apart. See the metal underneath. But yeah. So here, I'll move that off to the side. Let's go see if that other thing is dry yet. Just got back, and it is not. Kind of. It kind of is, kind of isn't. Doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't smell. It's all good now. It's just kind of spongy. So you can see it's kind of painted pitch black, and again, you can see, you know, all those little spots I made don't matter now. They're all gone because they're covered in, you know, a layer of paint. And you need to spray paint this because it is metal, so it will not stick. Paint will not stick well. What I would recommend is also varnishing this 2 or 3 times whenever you do paint it. That's how the ones that I have, like here, let's grab this one for instance, this strip that I had. I varnished this 3 times and it's not really scratching off. Let's take the back of a blade, not the sharp part obviously. You can see it just comes off. That shining is the metal. Obviously it's a bit easier to do that. Let's see if I can do it across the center. You can see the metal peeking through. So you do need to varnish this stuff a lot, or it'll... That was not intentional. Oh, no paint got on it. Nice. There. So yeah, varnish this like 2 or 3 times. And honestly, what I would do is I would stick with the paint job that I did with this one kind of thing. Like, not obviously brown. I'd probably do a very light gray, then dark gray. Or depending on what you want, because that could be a cave. That would be really good for a cave. And these things are pretty cheap. So like, you know, spend, let's say $12, you get 3 of these. You can make a cave, you can make a desert, you can make a forest. The biggest problem is, obviously, it's very plain if you just go with the colors like this. So you do need terrain to some degree. Luckily, there's tons of videos on how to make terrain, and I think one day I'll probably get around to making my own terrain videos. I also had some in my Mordheim series, but I still got to revisit Mordheim at some point, but my buddies and I have kind of cooled down on that for a bit. We aren't really doing it anytime soon. So, but yeah, either way, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, and kind of, yeah, that's kind of it. Hope you enjoyed that.